In App 5, so we are looking at DNA and the productions of proteins. In particular, we're looking at mRNA. Okay, so DNA, we know, is the code, okay, and it decides everything. It is the control center of the cell, and it is so important that you don't damage your DNA that you have to protect it. So you protect that by putting it in the nucleus, which is fine, but now you need to somehow get that information out into the cell. So the way that you work around that is that you make a copy, and you use the copy to make the protein rather than using our actual DNA code. So our DNA is our master copy. It never moves from the nucleus. We keep it in the nucleus, we open up the bit we want, we copy that bit, take the copy, and then we close it back up again and go, that's fine. Don't touch it, keep it safe. So our master copy left in the nucleus. Doesn't matter what happens to the copy, we really don't care. In fact, it just gets used and then broken down, and then we just use the bits to make more copies. Because we can always make more copies as long as we keep our master copy. So the copy that you make, okay, is very similar to DNA. It's going to have to be, because we're going to have to copy the language across. So what we're using is something called RNA rather than DNA. So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. RNA is ribonucleic acid. You can see there is not much difference about this. However, you need to recognise it's different. You don't need to give the full words, but you need to be able to write the letters down. So they are, see, very similar. We've got our DNA on the right hand side here, which is a double helix, 2 strands. We've got our ATGC, all are nice pairing. RNA, single strand, which is very different, and we've got slight differences in the bases. You don't need to know about the difference in the bases, but you do need to know that it's different than DNA. Okay, so you know that to make a protein, we need to get to the ribosome. So we're in the nucleus. We have just made a copy of the code from the DNA to RNA, and we're going to take it to the ribosome. So the RNA is given a very particular name because there are actually several different types of it. The one that you need to know is messenger RNA. So it's a little m and then capital RNA. So this messenger RNA takes the code from the nucleus to the ribosome, and then the ribosome does its job and changes it from a code in DNA forms or RNA form into amino acid. And that's it.